Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Metrick from Metrick's Harvest View Farm and Market in Mount Chestnut, just west of Butler, PA, about 6 miles on Route 422, about 30 miles from the Ohio line, and about 40 miles north of Pittsburgh. We operate a year-round farm market here. 1990, we bought the farm, and my wife and I got married in 91 and moved here in April of 91. And we've been here ever since, and we started with potatoes. We started growing potatoes, and it just grew into what we have here today. We raise almost all the vegetable crops. We have apple orchards, and we have an orchard of our own. We lease an orchard down the road about 3 miles from here, and we just kind of grown into from selling out of our garage to building a small market in the mid 90s and kept expanding, and we're at the place now where it's about time to start thinking about expanding again here. As I said, my wife and I got married in 91. We have two daughters. One daughter, youngest daughter, is married. She's an agriculture teacher and an FFA advisor in Laurel School District, which is just about 15 miles from here in neighboring Lawrence County. And our oldest daughter works for Penn State Extension in Butler County. She runs the 4-H program, and she will be married next April. And they're interested in taking over the farm, and so we've made arrangements to have that happen here this past spring. So, we're first generation on this farm. This farm is, my brother-in-law had grown up on this farm, and when it came up for sale, none of his siblings wanted it. He had a farm of his own, so we were able to purchase this farm. It borders a farm that actually my dad grew up on, and so we're still in the same neighborhood where it all started. But I grew up and helped out on a dairy farm and milk cows and made hay, but I always liked growing potatoes, always liked vegetables. My dad always had a big garden, and so it just kind of, over the years, it just kind of happened that now we grow all the vegetable crops. We were open just seasonal, and about 5 or 6 years ago, we decided to stay open year-round. We do a summer CSA, which is community supported agriculture. And people will pay ahead, and then they come every week. They either have a small share or a full share, and they come every week, Wednesdays or Thursdays, and pick up their CSA basket. It's like one shopping. We put things out, and they're allowed to take one of this or two of this or four of this, and we give them all a tote bag, and they pick their items up and take them home for their family to enjoy. About 8 years ago, we started a winter CSA, and it runs 2 times in January, 2 times in February, 2 times in March. And it has the winter vegetables, cabbage, and storage vegetables, winter squash, apples, and things like that. And then we include baked goods one week and some type of a meat on the opposite week. The summer one runs 22 weeks. It runs from early June through October. The winter one is a 6 week over 3 months. So, but that's worked out well for us, and we do starting here later this month, the end of September. We have 5 weekends. We do a fall festival. We have wagon rides. We have a corn maze, and all the fall decorations of pumpkins and apples and just everything you would think about when you think about fall. In 2002, we acquired the cider press that's here behind me from a neighbor up the road that was in the cider business for several years, and had no family that was interested in taking over, so they decided to sell it. So we moved it about 2 miles to where it is, and so we've been making our apple cider here since 2002, and we've won the Mid-Atlantic Cider Contest first place twice over in the last 6 or 7 years. So that's kind of exciting that out of 20 to 25 other ciders that ours was picked first 2 times in that time frame. So, but we do cider here, mainly do it for ourselves. We do some custom pressing for people that have small orchards and want to make cider for their families and for themselves. We're non-pasteurized, and so we can't make cider for people to take and sell in their markets, or we can't sell our cider for people to take and sell in their markets, because the way the law reads, if it's non-pasteurized, it has to be sold here on site. But the original part of this press here behind me was actually built in 1884, and we're the fifth owners in all those years. Now it's been upgraded a lot with stainless steel and stainless steel, milk pump and stainless steel cooler to milk cooler to keep our cider cold. But yes, in those years, all those years, we're only the fifth owner. So when it goes somewhere, it stays, and mainly because if you look at it,
it's not small.
It's not small. So I said, if we ever sell it, the guy that buys it is going to tear it out of here because it was a job to move. It took the biggest part of a summer because we built this addition on the building. We had to measure everything so everything would reach and everything would fit. So, but it's worked out well. The cider has been a good thing. Our family, as I said, the daughters are involved in agriculture. They're involved in the farm and want to move forward with the farm and expand things here with the farm market. Thinking about putting in a bakery and a small deli in the future here. So we'll see what happens. We'll just take it one step at a time and grow as we can grow. We don't want to stick our necks out too far and have to struggle to make things work out for us and for them down the road in the future. But I serve on the Pennsylvania Vegetable Marketing and Research Board, which is a PDA a committee out of Harrisburg. And what we do, there's an assessment program where the larger vegetable growers over a certain amount of acreage or a certain amount of square foot of high tunnel and greenhouse, they have to pay it's minimal assessment fee. And that money goes for research at Penn State University and some other land grant colleges, maybe Cornell or Rutgers or Maryland, and then some of it goes for vegetable marketing. The Vegetable Marketing and Research Program goes from marketing through the Pennsylvania PA Preferred Program. And so I've been on that board for over 25 years. I serve as a director on our local farm show board here for 38 years, and it maybe spread myself pretty thin, but I was an FFA in high school, and my ag teacher, he always told us, you got to get involved. So I never forgot that, because you have to be involved in what your passion is. And for me, it's been agriculture all my life. I worked for 13 years for Agway Farm Co-op here, and then once things got straightened around here in 1995, I've been full-time on the farm ever since.
So how's it feel to be your own boss? You don't have to worry about, well, maybe your wife.
We worked together. She was an RN, and okay. Last year things worked out that she was able to retire, and but we've worked together. I tell people we never had an argument. We have intense moments of fellowship, but but we've worked together side by side for we've been married to be 35 years in April. So it's been good, and I grew up around a farm, and so I knew what it's like to be your own boss, and how to pace yourself and how to work and still make time for family. We're not open on Sundays. And except in October when we do our fall festival, we're open on Sundays for that. But so we have family time, and Sunday just kind of we might come out here and tinker around with something, or I go in the workshop and tinker around in the afternoon. But we go to church and spend time with family, and maybe just do nothing, go for a ride and see what the other farmers are doing. So,
you mean relax?
Relax.
There
yep.
you go.
And you need to do that. You can't. You have to have time to collect your thoughts. And I don't. There's a lot of people that go. I grew up around a dairy farm, so that was 7 days a week. But Sunday was always, you did what you had to do. You milked the cows, you fed the cows, fed the calves. You didn't go out and plow or plant corn or anything like that. That's the way that I was raised. So. and it's a good way to live. It's good atmosphere to raise a family in, and teach them a good work ethic, and teach them that some days are better than others. We raised most of what we sell. We raise our apples, but we buy apples also, because we don't have the amount, especially on cider. We probably buy 90% of our cider apples from a couple local orchards. Apples that we sell in the market, we raise some, we buy some. Some of the varieties we don't raise, and then some of the varieties we don't have enough, because we like to have apples up until April, May. Some varieties. So these bigger orchards will put them in controlled atmosphere storage, and so they can pull them out every few weeks through the winter. And when they're put in that storage, they're constant temperature, constant humidity, constant darkness. So they're just like they were picked off the tree. And you have about a month before they start breaking down. So you get if you time things right, you can have practically tree fresh apples all winter long. We don't raise peaches. We raise some strawberries, but we buy some strawberries too from another grower. But most everything else we buy or we grow, and we do buy some things to supplement what we grow. As I said, we don't raise pears, we don't raise peaches. We buy our blueberries in from another orchard. But most of the vegetable crops are raised here. And if we do buy anything, it's either bought direct from another grower, or there's a produce auction about 20 miles from here in New Wilmington, and we take some things up there to sell, and we buy some things up there as well. So it's really nice having that auction, because there's a lot of local growers that grow for that auction, and there's a lot of buyers, grocery stores and roadside stands and restaurants and school districts and things that go up there and buy fresh produce. So that's been a good outlet. Things that if we see we're going to be long on things, we'll box, whether it be zucchinis or we'll take them to the auction, and so we have very little waste that way. And things that are not usable, our church has a food cupboard. We've given them apples and potatoes over the years, and if not, we have a compost pile. We just throw it there or throw it back in the field. And but we have our waste is minimal. We try to do a good job of taking care of the crops, so we have good sellable crops too. So, but it's done well that way. But not very little things go to waste. We do have greenhouses. We raise all our own vegetable transplants, and then we raise hanging baskets and bedding plants and fall mums for the fall. So a lot of the flowers, the majority of them are sold here, but we do take some flowers to the produce auction as well, to sell, just to kind of thin things out in the greenhouse. We like to take advantage of all our square footage for the cost of the heat, but as things start to grow, they need space. So as things grow, we'll thin things out and take baskets to the greenhouse, or geraniums, just to give them more room on the table, so you have airflow, to take care of disease, and so they don't grow up in the air. They can bush out like they're supposed to.
So about how many acres do you have here, and do you lease anything else?
We own 28 acres here, and we farm 3 other pieces of land, so we're probably farming around a little over 40 acres.
Okay.
And the majority of it is in vegetable crops. We plant a little bit of field corn. We have a corn maze, so that's field corn. And in some years, I'll plant some corn, some field corn, just to pick. We'll raise steers, 3 or 4 steers, just to finish in the fall. Our daughters have a flock of sheep, and we have laying hens. We have our own laying flock. We sell our brown eggs in the market. Then through the summer months, we raise meat chickens, and we'll raise them. They go in a brooder for 4 weeks, and then on a movable pen out in grass for 4 weeks. We feed them, supplement them with grain while they're on pasture, but that raises a nice chicken. And in 8 weeks, they'll dress 6 to 8 pounds. So we do that. So we do have some livestock here. Some years we'll plant some oats, depending on what the rotation is and what we need. It'd be nice to have enough ground that you'd have half your acreage and cover crop and rest of the year, but we're not that fortunate to do that. Some growers are, but we're not. We just we need more ground, so we can't do that. So we'll maybe plant some oats and seed it down with red clover, then put sweet corn in there the following spring. The clover will give you some nitrogen, and we use cover crops in the fall. A mix. We like a mix of triticale and medium red clover, crimson clover, and then the tillage radish. Tillage radish, they'll grow about that long and about that big around. It really aerates the ground nice. You have to get it in early, before the middle of September. And like a year like this, we've only had 0.6 of an inch of rain in the last 8 weeks, so things aren't gonna. There's not gonna be a lot of fall growth, but it does. Cover crops do wonders for the ground the next year. So. That don't like to leave ground uncovered over winter. Like to have something growing on it all the time. So yeah, we do that to take care of the land. We take soil tests. We use a lot of calcium lime. A lot of vegetable crops are heavy feeders of calcium, and so we use high calcium lime and some dry fertilizer. Actually, our dry fertilizer is an organic fertilizer. We're not certified organic or anything.
I was going to ask you about. Get into the organic versus non-organic. It's a hot button issue these days.
I think there's just like no-till. There's a place for everything. I think there's if you can manage it right, and you have the market for it, that will pay the extra cost for the reduced yield, and I think you can do well with organic. Probably better with some crops than others. We use like I said, we use the organic fertilizer because we like it. We can put a layer of mulch plastic; it doesn't burn because it's natural. It's composted poultry manure and some other ingredients in it. With the regular fertilizer, you have to be careful of root burn under the plastic because it gets so hot under there. So, and we use some organic sprays. There's an organic spray we use for cabbage worm. It's listed organically. We've used it for years. It works. So. I use it because it works.
Right.
But I don't know. To me, I think buying local, knowing where your produce comes from, if you can drive down the road and see the guy out there transplanting tomatoes and picking tomatoes or picking sweet corn, something labeled organic that's hauled 3,000 miles and
burns and thawed out.
Yeah, burns. Yeah, it's in a cooler for 2 weeks, sitting in a train or a truck. And you burn all that diesel fuel to get it here. What's better for the environment? You burning all that diesel fuel to get a couple bushel of tomatoes, or to me, I think if you can like IPM, integrated pest management, scout your crops. If the threshold of insects is such that you don't need to spray, you don't have to spray. If it goes over that, you apply some chemical to it. I'm not anti-organic. I said there's guys that do. I know some growers that do a good job raising it. They're at the place where they have a good market for it. I don't know that we could go 100% organic and be able to charge the price that they can get around the big city farmers markets and things like that. But nothing against it. I think it's a way to farm, and I think there's nothing wrong with it.
You got to do what's right for you, and you got to do what's right for your customer.
Right. Yeah, and nobody. We have people come in here and say, "Are you organic?" And we tell them, "No, we use some organic methods, but we're not organic." And they say, "Okay," and they buy the stuff. And, we're feeding this stuff we fed it to our kids, and we'll feed it to our families. So it's
if they go to the grocery store, you don't know what you're getting
or where it's coming from,
yep.
Or how it's been handled. Yeah. That's what I say. The key is when you drive up the driveway, you see the stuff growing, you know where it's coming from. And like we tell people about the peaches, they're not our peaches, but we know where they're coming from. They're either coming from over in Lawrence County at an orchard, or they're coming from out in Biglerville, from an orchard out there. So.
And you get them shipped in from my area, kind of.
Yeah, we do. Yep, we do. And that fruit belt out there that's an amazing place to go visit. It's unbelievable. North of Gettysburg, if people ever want to go for a ride and just be in awe of the apple orchards and the peach orchards, that little valley right in there is just, probably 80% of the fruit in Pennsylvania is raised in Adams, York, and Lancaster counties. I mean, right that over the mountains in that little pocket there, they seem to have the climate. I mean, their elevation. I mean, we're 1,800 feet here. They're like probably 400 feet above sea level. So they're warmer.
It's lower.
Yeah, it's much lower. So, but as far as organic and versus conventional, I think a conventional is done right. It can be safe. Organic guys spray. I mean, there's organic chemicals. They have to.
Right.
The bugs and the disease would just kill you. So, and sometimes we can put 6 ounces to the acre on, and those guys have to put pounds to the acre to get the same amount of control. So I don't know. It's just
I just know it's a hot button issue with people these days, and I understand both sides of the fence, but you got to make sure, as the farmer, to be able to afford to sell to the consumers, and I'd rather have something that I can drive by versus something that gets trucked 1,000, 2,000 miles.
And local organic guys that go to I know there's several out east that go to the big farmers markets there, around Philly and Baltimore and DC, but they're selling to a whole different clientele than we are.
Right.
There's one guy told me, he says, we sell corn by the dozen, half a dozen. They sell it by the ear. They never sell a dozen of corn at them farmers markets. People will come in and they'll buy 2 ears of corn for supper tonight. And next time at farmers market, they'll come in and buy 2 more. People, it's just it's a whole different market, a whole different kind of people. So,
I mean, I know that, like, my mom would go to the local produce stand or whatever, and she'll get several. I think she got like 100 ears before. We boil it, we cut it off, we freeze it, and have it for Christmas, and
Yeah, we have a family gets like 20 dozen every year, right around Labor Day. Family gets together and cuts it off and puts it in the freezer, and we do that. Like, if we have corn left at the end of the day, there's 3 or 4 dozen. We'll eat some for supper, cut the rest off, and throw it in the freezer, so we have our own corn to eat,
Right.
all winter long. So, yeah, but there are still some families that do that, but I see a big difference even in the years that we've been doing it. Like potatoes, even when I was a kid growing up, everybody bought 50-pound bags of potatoes. Nobody bought it. Now we're selling 5-pound bags, 10-pound bags, and I think a lot of the reason is the newer homes don't have anywhere to keep them. All the old houses had a fruit cellar under the front porch. They'd put their apples, and they'd get 3 or 4 50-pound bags of potatoes and put in there, and they had potatoes for the winter. But a lot of the newer homes don't have. If they do have a basement, it's finished with heat, so they can't store things like it. And that has a lot to do with it too. With people buying apples, they'll buy a quarter peck of apples and come back every week and buy a quarter peck, and you used to buy bushels. So. But that's the way things have changed over the years, and I don't think there's a lot of people that cook, but I don't think there's. If you drive by where the restaurants are around these towns, and they're all busy, that tells me that not everybody is eating at home every day like they used to.
I am not eating at home because I'm on the road. Unfortunately, I've eaten restaurant prepared meals for the last several days.
Well, sometimes you have to do that.
I miss my wife's cooking.
At least you don't have to wash dishes.
Somebody else's job. But this was I'll jump in here real quick. This was a last minute introduction and interview type thing. I had nothing really prepared. Roger knows Ken, and Roger thought it'd be a good introduction, and hopefully we can work together in the future anytime we come out this way. And if you're in the Butler, even Pittsburgh, I don't know what's north of here because I'm not familiar, but come out and visit Metrick's Harvest View Farm and maybe sign up for some of those summer or winter, what'd you call them?
The CSA, Community Supported Agriculture. It's just like having a garden, but you don't have to do anything but eat.
You just got to pay them a little bit of money and he'll provide you good stuff.
There's a price with everything.
Isn't there? So if you don't have anything to add,
just thanks for stopping.
Not a problem.
I enjoyed talking to you. And yeah, if anybody out there is in this area, stop in. We're easy to find. We're cooling cider there. So thank you.
Good thing then.
Yeah, we're only a quarter mile south of 422, in the little village of Mount Chestnut, so we're easy to get to.
Probably not picking us up now. Probably picking that up. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.